this is Jim Schaefer, executive producer and host of Riprap, the academic book television program. My guest today is Arlie, and we're going to talk about her book, The Outsourced Self.
Outsourcing is when you're paying someone to do something that, let's say 30 years ago, you didn't pay somebody to do. If, for example, a young person was looking for a partner 30 years ago, there would be church socials, there would be after-school meetups, there would be family or friend dinners where you might meet somebody. Today, it's more likely that someone would put down some money and join Match.com. In fact, for in the first chapter of The Outsourced Self, I described the story of a 49-year-old woman who was divorced, had a 12-year-old, and was lonely. And 30 years ago, she wouldn't have outsourced this task of finding someone, but she said, look, you know what, time is getting on, and I'm going to bite the bullet and do this. And so the story gets to the heart of the matter in The Outsourced Self, because it's of a very nice love coach and a very efficient service and a very nice person using it. So we're not talking about any issue with the people involved. But what happens is that in the course of doing this, she's introduced to a way of thinking about herself and a way of thinking about others that is market-like. And she is called to draw a line between herself and that market way of thinking. For example, the love coach says to her, well, you know, looking for someone romantic is work. And she says, I'm an engineer, I'm used to hard work. So don't think of it as something fun, it's work, okay? And then he said, you're going to have to brand yourself. She said, oh my goodness, brand myself. Yes, and you have to, it has to be true, it has to be real. A brand is a slice of the real you. So brand yourself. Okay, yes. Then he's saying this is the world's largest love mall. And so you have to realize you have a market value, 1 to 10. You're getting on in years, so you're a 5 or a 6, and there are a lot of 3 men looking for 9 or 10 women, just so you know. And she said, well, he's trying to help me. This is how it is. Yes. And then he said you have to really be mindful of ROI, return on investment. And she says, okay, yes. And then there comes a time when she meets Mr. Wrong, and they have a relationship, and 6 months later they break up by mutual agreement, and he doesn't get along with her daughter, nor does the daughter like him. And that man says to her as he goes out the door, you were so easy to find, I'm going to find someone just like you. And at that point, she drew a kind of a mental line. She wanted to use Match.com as a paid tool to enter a very human relationship with a person. But part of the tool had entered into the relationship because this young man, and he might have been a very nice person, but he'd begun to think of her in a market-like way. She said, I felt like a box of cereal. And he wanted to go back into the Safeway and pick a box exactly like me, only another box of the same thing, that I was a generic commodity. And it was at that point that she said, we have to draw a line. And each time we draw a line, what we're doing, this is why I think this is so important. Each time we draw a line, we're deciding what to be emotionally attached to and what to be emotionally detached from.